All right, so I'm Dr. Andres Fonseca, and these are my teammates, Justin and Tuang, and Max, who couldn't make it until the demo, but he helped tremendously. And we've created MindCheck, which is something that tries to get people to sort of track their cognitive performance over time. So the problem that we're trying to solve is when you have a memory problem and you go for a consultation, two things may happen. One, you may be at risk, so you may have something like a mild cognitive impairment, and you may need tracking over time to make sure that it's not converting into dementia. Or if you do have dementia, then you might be having some treatment for it, and it's important to see whether that's having an effect, decide whether to continue or not. The problem is that monitoring takes a lot of time, and also is quite daunting for the person themselves, because those paper-based tests are just not the most friendly. So to try and make things better, we think that you can do this at home. So we've developed a MindCheck which allows us to do that. So if we show you, we use this plan metaphor to encourage the person to come back to it every day. And so, for example, this one is just a simple registration task. I hope you remember about Phil, because I'll be asking questions about him later, if you carry on. So this is our version of the Stroop test. And if you see when you're answering incorrectly, it doesn't matter. It just points you gradually to the right answer. We also track speed of processing, because everything that we're doing is timed, and we can compare each performance with itself. So we can have comparisons within the same person over time, but also versus a norm. So this is what Tuang is doing now. Is another registration task, and you just wait until it plays out, and then you register. This is a recall task about Phil. I hope you remember it was red. And again, you don't get whether you're told whether you're right or wrong. It just guides you to the right answer. We just record the answers as they give them. This is another recall task. So what we're doing is we're doing aspects of executive function, we're doing speed of processing, and we're doing recall. This screen here is we're just pulling live from the user's social media feed, pictures of their family and friends. This is just a simple question to carry on engaging them, and it's just a relaxing question in the middle of your test. And we have built this so we can design some visual spatial tasks, and maybe something like a trail making test. At the moment, we don't have it, but you can get to enjoy Tuang's wonderful artistic talent. And that's it. You finish your daily test. You've got a new one to do tomorrow. All this data will be then sent securely to your clinician, and they'll be able to make a decision of whether your performance is in line with what we expect. So we don't need to invite you back into the clinic, or there's a decline, and then we need to sort of do something about it. That's what we'll build. That's MindCheck. Obviously, we would need to validate it versus the gold standard test, and that would be the next step in our plan. Thank you. Sorry, yes. Don't think we can hear anything.
Q&A from the judges?
Now we can hear you.
Thanks very much. Can I ask if your MindCheck is aimed at people who have a diagnosis or pre-diagnosis?
So it's basically people who feel there might be a risk, they might have a memory problem, and they go and consult. So it might be people with either subjective cognitive impairment or mild cognitive impairment, but also people post-diagnosis when treatment is being initiated, be it something like a cognitive stimulation therapy or even the cholinesterase inhibitors. And it's just to sort of look at response over time.
Great, thanks. Hi, this is Francis. I'm wondering about the platform on which this runs. It wasn't quite clear. Maybe I missed that. Are you guys running it on tablet? Is it web-based? Could you clarify?
Justin, you can discuss that.
It's written in HTML5, and via Cordova PhoneGap, it's delivered on a tablet. Tablet's probably the most useful platform for it because it's designed for engagement by elder users.
Great, thanks.
Judge questions?
Yeah, I had one more question in terms of whether people would purchase it themselves or whether it be supplied for them.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear the question.
Sorry, are you envisaging people will, this is a self-purchase, or it would be supplied by the NHS?
So our idea is that this would be, it would be the clinic, the memory clinic, that would be purchasing a license, and then this would be made available to all of those patients that are, being monitored at that clinic. So that would be the thought behind it. It's just to save on the time and the clinical slots in your busy clinics, and to be able to sort of see more patients more efficiently.